Going up. We appreciate every single one of you here. All the families, clients, individuals who receive services that are going through what's been proposed. We appreciate you being here to voice your opinions. Do not tonight be afraid to say what you want to say. In the course of this evening, it's going to be an open mic convo. Okay? I do not want to control this convo. I want the state to hear from you. I can stand up here and tell you, just like the great professionals that are around the room, all these yellow shirts, what they've done in the last week for you has been absolutely amazing. So thank you for what you guys have done in putting on this town hall. Over the last week, of all the things that these people have put in as far as the efforts are absolutely astronomically amazing. So again, another round of applause for their work. Tonight we're going to enable the conversation a little bit different. Okay? What we've been concentrating on is the effect of services, whether it be rec, music, or behavior support services, BSS that the state was used as an acronym. We've been concentrating on what the effect of loss of that would be to you. Tonight we're going to concentrate on what is the state asking that you give up. Everything that they're asking for you to give up is absolutely wrong. You should not have to give up anything. You are the most important part of this waiver program, and that's getting lost in the conversation at the state. Okay, so as we go forward tonight, that's the message I want to put. We're not important when it comes to services. Who's important? The client, you, the individual, your voice that's being taken away, your choice that's being lost in the process. If we decide that we're not going to put our feet in the ground today, when this waiver reset redesign comes in 2028, we're in trouble. So tonight is the night to put our heels in the ground. Leaving this town hall this evening, we have less than 2 weeks to make an impact. Once that impact closes, we have zero control of the message. It is our responsibility as we go forward in the next 10 days, less than 10 days, sorry. The next 10 days, is that right? August 8th, is that right? Thank you. Until August 7th, because I guarantee that window's closing at midnight, 12:01 a.m. Yes, 4:30. Right, 4:30. Okay? It is our responsibility to tell them everything that they're choosing to choose for you is wrong. Okay? We as providers can only do so much. We can provide you quality service. The state doesn't care. We can provide you all of the supports that you need. We can teach you the things that you find value in. The state doesn't care. It is up to you, the individuals who are asking for us to provide you service, for your voices to be heard, and your choices to be made. Amen? All right, here we go. Throughout the presentation, you're going to see this slide. You're also going to find this slide on every single table. There's some on the floor next to every row. As each individual person on this panel has something to say about a significant perspective that they have, you might come up with a new idea. When you come up with that new idea, hit the QR code, put in another letter. Don't think that one letter is enough. One letter is not enough. If somebody says something that hits home to you, and you're like, man, I wish I could put that on paper, do it. As we go through, after every conversation, every slide, you're going to see these QR codes. Go ahead and take advantage of them this evening. Okay? Put those in. If you guys want pre-written letters, they're on the table behind you that the wonderful professionals back there put together for you. You just got to read it, sign it, send it. Okay? This is very, very, very important. My take on this is, Every single person that's going to present to you tonight is going to give you a different idea. All of those ideas together generate a message. Okay? Don't just sit there and do one. Do as many as you feel like you can. Okay? Here's the agenda. All right. We're going to start to talk about introducing the changes. I think everybody's here because they understand what changes are. What is the standard that's going to happen as we go forward? What are they asking us to change to? Okay? We back up. What are they forcing us to change to? Okay? They're not asking. We don't have any representation in that room. That's the one gripe that I have that's a big issue. Okay? No representation inside that room asking, what's the value of therapy services? What's the value of behavior consulting? What's the value of the services that you receive? What's the value of what we provide that you get out of what we do? Okay? They're not asking us. They're making decisions for you. They're taking your voice away. Okay? But I'm going to introduce the panel. We're going to talk a couple impact statements. We're going to open up the Q&A for the audience. Okay? I do not want any singular individual leaving here with a question in your pocket. My goal is to get through to each one of you for an opportunity to ask a question. Okay? If we can answer it, wonderful. If we can't, we'll find a resource that does. Okay? We're going to finish up with the impact statement so that everybody leaves here empowered. At the end of this town hall, the word I want you to leave with is advocacy. What can you do leaving here that's going to make an impact to change? We can't just continue to talk about service. We have to talk about change. We must discuss what they're taking away from you and how can we change. Okay? All right. Here's the proposed changes. Family support waiver through CMS in the effect of, I want everybody to make sure to pay attention to this part because they keep changing the goal line on them. Okay? They started with January, sometime at the beginning of 2026. Then they went to the beginning of January. Now they're saying by the end of 2025. Again, they're not giving any of you an opportunity to talk about that. They keep changing the goalpost. We talk about 2026. How are you going to make a change in your lifestyle by 2026 to talk about what does 6 hours of therapy look like? What does 576 units, 12 hours a month of behavior look like for you if you don't have that? What do those changes look like? It's going to come in January, they'll start talking about, oh, by the way, it's going to be by the end of this year. Now they're talking, pushing that forward even more. Okay, so we have to put our feet in the ground. If we don't, we're in trouble. Okay? Starting in mid-July, interested members of the public will have 30 days of review. That's supposed to be followed by 30 days after to talk about what we submitted. They're supposed to have an open conversation about all of the impact letters that you guys are going to send in tonight, that we've sent in over a week, that we're going to send in going forward. Okay? I can't promise you that that's going to occur. Today is the day that you must put as much impact into that as possible. Okay? Full proposed waiver draft will be available for review. Be on the lookout for an announcement via DR's updates. I can tell you from the provider side, DR updates are not anywhere to be found. Okay? They've done everything they can to hide that response. Okay, so keep at it so we can get that DR's response out. Again, behavior support services, right? Going to 576 units, 12-hour max cap. Okay? Therapy services going to 288, 6-hour cap. In any therapy service, this 6-hour cap equates to no more than 45 minutes a session. I don't know about you, but I like more than 45 minutes of physical activity a day, a week. When you factor in all of the other things that we must do as professionals, it leads to you being provided service in a therapy realm for 45 minutes a session per session. Okay? What's the state say about this, right? So let's use their words. Let's talk to state. State told us we had questions. They said, deal with it. How it's going to be. We said, well, what about the individuals out there that like our service? What about the ones that like to go do kayak? That like to go do larger activities, right? What about those people that enjoy spending more time in the community than just 45 minutes per activity? What's the state say? They said, Paul. They basically told you to sit still, don't do anything until you gather up the amount of time necessary to do a large activity. How long is that going to be? How many people do you take to a football game, Lauren? 50. They're asking 50 clients to sit still for what? 16-hour day? 12-hour day. So they just asked you to stay about 2 months. Sit still for 2 months. Don't do anything. Don't get out. Don't do activity. Because it's important to you to only do that football activity. That's not appropriate at all. Don't let the state do that to you. Fight it. Talk it. To the age of chance. Okay? All right. Meat and potatoes. What are they taking away from you? What are they violating? What are your personal rights? Okay? This HCBS settings rule 2014. Right here on the screen. CMS came down and said the individual has the right to choose. You have the right to a meaningful life that you get to dictate, and now the state says it doesn't matter. Okay? Unacceptable. The things that they're taking away from you out of this HCBS settings rule are unacceptable. Okay? In this, the state of Indiana presents 23 points of interest that they say are the most important 23 points in your mind. Out of those 23, they're violating 11 egregiously. Egregiously, without your response. Don't let them do it. We have to fight for our rights, for your rights, to choose, to participate, and to make meaningful action within your life. Okay? Good. These are the 24 points. 23, sorry. It's all about you. The HCBS settings rule is about assuring your rights, your choices, and your options to opportunities while living in your home and participating in your own community. The state wants to take that away and say, you must function how they tell you to function. Are we ready to fight that?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. That you receive the HCBS, this Home and Community-Based Services Program. You deserve the opportunity to. Please look at the ones that we highlight. Be in charge of your own life. You have the right to make a decision about what's best for your life. The state says, no, you don't. They're going to dictate this. They say that you get 45 minutes a week of physical activity, that's the best thing you can get. You lose the access to your behavior support services after 12 hours a month. So you have to sit still in your house and deal with all of the things that come up with being sedentary. Talked about it last night in Greenwood, right? What are the attributing factors to health? Sedentary activities are the #1 attributing factor to increase in unhealthy living. But the state says you got to sit still. You want to go out to the community and you got a 2-hour activity, the state says that doesn't matter, sit still. Use that up, bulk that, so you can do that greater activity next week. or 2 weeks from now. Terrible concept. They're asking you to go back into those four walls that in 2003, they told you you're allowed to break out. Now, they're saying you don't have to go back into those walls. That is unacceptable. Choose who you want to help you. You have the right to choose your health services. You have the right to choose who you find the most appropriate to help you in your life in this moment. Now they're saying you don't. The state wants to dictate. Okay? You have the right to make your own independent choices. Oh, by the way, this rule is required in your life. Required. This is their word. I didn't make this up. You are required these rights. And they're saying it doesn't matter. Take that under consideration that they say you are required these rights to control. And then they say you can't control. You have no choice in what you have to do. You have the right to choose where you get health and services. The state comes through and says, you have the right to choose, absolutely. You have the right to choose 6 hours of a service provider that comes with therapy. You have the right to choose 12 hours to get consulted. Radiator support service. You have the right to choose, absolutely. We're not saying that your choice is taken away, but you can only use that much service. By the way, there's this other menu of services that you have to choose from if you want more activity. Inside those other services, the other menu of services becomes the non-professional services that we're not a part of. So when we talk about services, we talk about unreliability, we talk about unprofessionally trained. All the things that we are as professionals, they're asking you to just let that go away. Not only do I represent a therapy group, I also represent our certification. For the last 5.5 years, I've sat in a room and I've talked about what's best for our certificates, our CTRSs, our professionals. And now they're saying that that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a professional. You're no better as a professional than anybody that comes off the street to provide services. Wholly disagree. That's a fight that you'll never get me to understand. Okay? Professional services first. When the state says, hey, by the way, these other additional services, this menu of services, you have the right to choose from this new menu of services you have to choose from. Please recognize they've already been. They are there for you to choose today. Most of you are probably trying to use them. I know there's organizations that do. Absolutely. Those that do use them correctly are great. Those that have terrible experiences come back to the professional side of the fence. Now the state saying you don't have that choice. If you want to do more activity, you've got to get out and do other things. Choose from this new menu of services that have been here the whole time. Okay? Think deeper. Think deeper. Wow. Why is the state asking you to do that? Okay? You have right to do the things in the community that everybody else does, but you can only do it for 45 minutes a set. That doesn't sound like a choice to me. That doesn't sound like you have equal rights. That sounds like they're taking away your dictating your time. Don't let them dictate your time. You're a human being. You can make your own choices. I'm not here to make choices for you. I'm here to empower you to be an advocate for your choices. You have the right to do things in your community with people who do not have a disability. What they're saying, what they're presenting is, go back to groups of people that are just like you. That's not appropriate, guys. The state should not dictate where you do, who you do services with. But they're saying you're in a better spot if you go do with people that are just like you. Define that. I don't know anybody that's just like me. I don't know anybody that's just like you. I know there's nobody that's just like you. You have the right to empower yourself. please take this chance at advocacy to empower yourself. And you have the right to be in charge of your schedule and what you do each day. But only do it for 45 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna go back to this theme, guys. Fight for your rights. Here's what you stand to lose. If we do nothing, if we stand still, if we do not put our feet in the ground, if we do not fight, you stand to lose autonomy and choice. You stand to lose privacy and respect. And you stand to lose community integration and participation. If we don't do everything we need to do today to put our heels on the ground and don't let this occur, this is what you're going to lose. Tyler did a wonderful job yesterday talking about all of the negative effects that these choices have on your life. And thank you, Tyler, for bringing up all of those concepts, all of those concepts. That is amazing to think about what is going to be an attributing factor to your health. Why do you need to sit still? You don't. You have the right to choose to get out and do whatever you want to do. But now the state's taking that choice away and saying, you have the right to choose, but you don't have the right to choose so much. Don't let them dictate the choices. Make them yourself. Important considerations when we're talking about the HCBS program, right? We're talking about the settings rule. Modifications of these rights are permitted only when supported by specific assessed need and justified in the PCISP. What that says is, in order for them to dictate what you have to do, it has to be written in your plan. If you don't agree to writing this in your plan, you shouldn't have to follow through. You shouldn't have to be stuck in that box. But they're telling you you don't have that choice. Their words, not mine. They're dictating this. I'm just bringing you the message. These are their words, not ours. We don't just go around making these things up. We pull these directly from their website. They say you have the right to say no, unless it's written in your plan with your choice. Now they're saying it doesn't matter. Crucial to be fully informed about the implications. Has anybody going forward, are they able to describe to you exactly what is going to be the problem if you allow these issues to happen? I don't think so. I think they're just going to say, live with it. Okay? And only you or your legal guardian have the right to refuse or withdraw consent to any modification to this rule. Anybody in here consent to change? I didn't consent to change. I know you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't consent either. Right? So as we go forward, understand we're in the project phase. We're in the proposal phase. But we have the ultimate right to fight this right now. CMS aims to ensure that individuals receiving HCBS and Medicaid have full access to community living and the choices associated with it. Again, federal rule. They're telling you it doesn't matter. So with all this information, I'm asking you to stand up, dig your heels in. Don't let them take your choice of voice. Down the room, you see my voice, my RT, right? Choose your choice, keep your voice. Without those two things, we get told what to do and when to do and how to do it. Neither one of those are appropriate. Okay? Okay. Statewide transition plan compliance with the rule is implement a necessary change. Okay? They're saying this is necessary, guys. Why is it necessary? Ask a deeper question. Why are they telling you that it's necessary? What is going on? It's not necessary. We should not be taking away your voice and choice. Okay? Don't let them take away your voice and choice. All right. Question? No? Let's move forward up here. Sure, so the necessary increase, what they're saying is that we don't have, what they say is we don't have a sustainable model financial. We don't have a sustainable model financial. Okay? I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, great answer. Well, I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit. But they're saying that it's not sustainable. This waiver program that we're on is unsustainable. It's not sustainable waiver. I don't understand how it's not sustainable waiver we're functioning. Right? I don't understand how it's not sustainable when, again, state's functioning in a surplus. What can we do, right? How can we influence this? The state is telling us that it's necessary. And I'm here to tell you this. Okay. I'm going to bring on my first panel member. Nathan Redding, business owner from Columbus, Indiana. He's worked on the waiver program since 2011 as a DSP and a recreational therapy experience. He's an outdoor enthusiast, just got off the kayak, from what I understand. Fell in the river. That's right. Yeah, fell in the river. Climbed up, you guys. So I'm gonna bring up Nate. Nate, come on up, bud. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I'm happy to take any questions that you guys have. I'm hoping that we can be as methodical about getting our voices heard as we can. So, you guys have really good questions about why this is happening. So a few weeks ago, the federal government passed a new bill which reduced Medicaid spending to Indiana by about 13%. Last year, Indiana also spent about $1 billion more on Medicaid than they anticipated. There's another problem that I think that we might have a good solution for, and that is our state legislators, which is currently made up of 50 state senators and 100 House of Representative members. In our Senate chamber, 40 of our members are Republican members, 10 of our members are Democratic members. On the House of Representatives chamber, which has 100 members, 70 of those members belong to the Republican Party, and 30 of those members belong to the Democratic Party. So, we need to utilize our legislature to help instruct these agencies, like the Family and Social Services Administration, the Division of Disability and Rehabilitative Services, and the Bureau of Disability Services, on how they are to function as an agency and how they are to support people. And one thing that I want to highlight in regards to our state legislature, you will always have a problem as long as this is occurring. What they promise you in your family support waiver, which I believe is $26,500 funding annually. There's about 23,000 individuals that have a family support waiver. If you take out your calculators and add up that number is hundreds of millions of dollars more than what our state legislature sets aside for these programs every year. Until we fix that, we're always going to have a problem. We have been over-promised, and now that we have used what's available to you, they are punishing you. So that is why I'm here today, to share my message. And I also want to reiterate that therapy is reducing healthcare costs elsewhere. Therapy should be keeping you out of the hospital. It should be keeping you out of things like surgery. It should be reducing your medications, which our providers should do some introspection, thinking about how they can track to prove that value that we're saving Medicaid public costs that they will incur elsewhere in this case. The other thing that's most peculiar about this big change is that they're not changing the Medicaid waiver budgets. So
businessmen like me will still find ways for you to have services. Unfortunately, those won't be the services of your choice. Point being, this is not going to reduce any spending. Please share that message. Thanks, Sean, for having me. Any questions for me? I'm going to defer to. That's it.
One, QR codes. Okay, again, throughout the presentation, you're gonna find QR codes. If anything hits your head over what you want to talk about, go ahead and send it. Don't hesitate, don't just send one, send six, send 10. Okay? Our next speaker on the panel is Lydia Foster. She's a certified music therapist, MTBC. She sees clients on the waiver program. She's here to talk to you about the effective service. Okay? All right.
One of the things that has been really just awesome to me is seeing all providers coming together. It's not company versus company. It's all providers coming together to help all the individuals that we serve. I tell all my clients that I don't care about my paycheck when it comes to this is all for you or it's a basic. All my clients, I'm so much bigger with this, so I want to do what we all can together. Help change this. So what I wanted to read was an official impact statement that came out from the Association for Indiana Music Therapists. This came out late last night. But it is particularly concerned. The Association for Indiana Music Therapy is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting access and awareness to music therapy in Indiana through education, advocacy, and professional development. Currently, music therapy is available through Medicaid waivers in 67 of Indiana's 92 counties, and there are over 300 board-certified music therapists practicing in the state. And we skip a little bit because a lot of it is on these mentions. However, the AIT has serious concerns regarding proposed caps on music therapy services as 20%. These caps will limit individuals to 6 hours of music therapy per month or less. This proposal raises several critical issues, which is outlined below. The lack of budget flexibility, a month-to-month cap is not allowed for the actual ebb and flow of services over the course of the year. For example, higher service hours are often needed during intake and assessment periods, quarterly meetings and report preparation, response to incident reports of behavioral or emergency needs, and when rescheduled appointment to accommodate other sickness, vacations, etc. That's the number of weeks in a month. We respectfully request that greater clarification confirming the proposed cap is implemented as a monthly or annual cap. While it was stated as a monthly cap during the TR's advisory committee meeting, written clarification is necessary for providers who can and this whole budget back to what is not given. Undermining person-centered care, the cap includes a one-size-fits-all limit that does not reflect the diverse needs of various participants. While many individuals benefit from one music therapy session per week, others with more complex needs require more intensive therapy hours. For these individuals who may not respond to other waiver services, music therapy has been life-changing and essential for facilitating and providing needs. Additionally, some individuals successfully utilize a hybrid model that includes one weekly individual session supplemented by group therapy. This model allows for private processing followed by skill application and structured social setting. An approach that is both therapeutically effective and physically responsive, as group therapy costs are shared among participants. These diverse needs cannot be met effectively with a single cash model service. Therefore, AIT strongly recommends that the state recognize internal 3 distinct types of music therapy services that can be collectively or individually rather than treating them as variations in one service. These are as follows: individual music therapy, group music therapy, and music therapy. And I'll skip the rest of that, but I'd be more than happy to share that for any but all in all, I think the one thing that personally I would want to learn is that these caps and that's what the word is, individual needs. And to be kindness really solidifies the fact that the city sees you as the people who just have limited needs, and that's just that's not true. And so by allowing these paths to go through, we can bring the therapist to the table, their treatment plans to the needs of the people. Not having residency, so as the representative for all of us, we care about individuals and their members.
Great job. Wonderful perspective from you there, so that's a great thing. Again, QR code. Don't leave here without it. Okay? Take advantage of it. Now I'm gonna bring up Tender Duff. She's our community and family advocate who wants to talk about what the effects of these waiver programs are doing at home as well.
Hi, my name is Kendra. I'm also a parent. I'm just here to say that these therapies, they're not just extra, they're essential tools. They have our kids thrive, they support physical, emotional, social development, and my boys would not be where they are today without our OT, our PT, our speech, our rec therapies. You know, so it's not a reduction in hours. We're not talking about a reduction in hours. What we're talking about is a reduction in progress, a reduction in access to our community, a reduction in what will help our individuals, our loved ones thrive and reach their full potential. It's not a reduction in hours. And I'm here to say, if you haven't spoken with your representative, your senator, if you don't know who they are, find out, reach out to them. I led rallies last year from January to the end of the session. We were down in the state house once a week, twice a week. We were down there with our kiddos. We shared our stories. We met our representatives. We met our senators. They're individuals. They're humans. Do you know how many this last session walked up to me and said, "Thank you for being down here. We would have had no clue." They need to see our faces. They need to hear the names. Most of them have walked this journey. We'll never walk this journey. So in order to get them to understand what they're cutting, the size hours, we have to show up. We have to be present. They're not intimidating. They're actually great people once you talk to them. Invite them into your home. I know many families that invited Lieutenant Beckwith, you know, some of the representatives, some of their senators into their home, and they came. Some of them want to know, these things right now. And the only way to get them to know is for us to share our stories. They need to see real life stories. They need to see our loved ones. They need to hear from a family perspective how it impacts us, what it does to our families. Leaving our loved ones with nothing, you know, we can't do that. We are where we are as individuals and families because of the services we have gotten in the past. But the only way to get them to understand that is to show up, to be present, to write your letters. You know, I would love to write letters, but also I'm going to come and talk to you. I want to invite you into my home. I want you to really understand our lives and what we face every day. Because it's not that reduction in hours. What we're doing is reduction in progress, reduction in access to community, reduction in everything that our family, kiddos, and loved ones deserve that we do. You know, being out in the community, interacting, having those jobs, doing all the extracurricular activities like anybody should. We should have access, should be allowed those hours. So I encourage you, if you haven't, reach out, you know, ask for a Zoom. Hey, 15 minutes. 15 minutes is all I'm asking. Can you pick up 15 minutes? Talk to them face to face. Have your loved individuals there. Let them see them. Let them hear the stories. And ask their stories. We do have some representatives that have kiddos with, you know, different needs or loved ones that utilize the services. So some do know. Most do not. Which one? You know, we don't know. So just ask them, invite them, share stories. If anything, write a letter and attach pictures. You know, so they can see. Because at the end of the day, when we walk out of this room, we're gonna remember what we say, but if we have pictures, if we have those visuals, seeing all of your individual faces, we're gonna remember that more so than we remember what's written or what's said. Yeah, exactly. Share those stories. Send them to your reps, send them to senators, send them to Braun, send them to Lakewood. Send them to as many people as you can. Last year, myself and another parent wrote a letter and we delivered, Special Needs Living magazine. I pulled a suitcase full of Special Needs Living magazine. We had one for every single representative, every single senator. It wasn't easy taking all those magazines into the state house. It's what needed to be done because we needed them to have those visuals. We need them to look at the desk and be like, oh, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, hours. We're talking about that face. We're talking about that family. We're talking about that need. So get out there, share your stories, invite them into your homes. And ask me what that was to say. We had one of the representatives say, hey, we haven't been able to connect with them. Can you give us a meeting schedule with that was to say? He did. We were able to sit down and talk to them. Some of the information we shared with them, they had no idea. They don't know waiver services or difficulty at care pay, so it's not reportable income in your HHA and prior authorization are. They have no idea. Why? Because they're not living it. They're not experiencing it. They're only reading it through the books and hearing it. So help them to understand our lives, what we go through. And if anybody wants to go down there, that wants to go by themselves, I'm happy to go with you. I have a letter back there that has my phone number and my email on. I'm happy to meet you down there. I'm happy to go with you. I'm happy to, do email connection with your representative senator. But it's that impact and those stories and those connections that will help make that change. Just sitting here and talking about it, that's great, but we have to make that change. We have to be present, we have to show up, and we have to let our voices be heard.
Just to give you a little heads up, your House representative in this district, H32, reached out today and said, send everything that you want to their email, h32@iga.in.gov. Okay? Representative Wilburn wants to hear from every single one of you that wants to send something to her. Send it to their office and flood it. I know we're going to when we leave here. Sure. H32 @iga.in.gov. For LA reached out today, and then she reached out directly and had that conversation and said, send me everything that you guys collect today, because I don't know. I want to give you guys some audience, so I need that information. So, Representative Wilburn's on your side. You got to send your info. All right. QR code. Don't forget the QR code. I know who does it, right? Who does it? Use it. Next speaker. Kate Patterson, business owner from Greenwood, Indiana, she's a disabled veteran, professor at the University of Toledo, with over 10 years of waiver experience. Okay?
First of all, thank you so much for asking me to come tonight. It's an honor to be here to talk about all the things that are happening, and that will happen to our individuals we serve. So today we're going to discuss how proposed changes to and therapy services will negatively impact individuals, families, caregivers, case managers, and therapists across the members. The facts are, as a waiver provider, I was taught through my needs training to open a record company that clients have choice, and that we are not allowed to go away from what their choice is. We are required to follow client's choice and ensure they have a voice in the services provided and the modalities and participate in. Individuals receiving services through the MSW and executives choose what services they wish to participate in. They choose what company they want to do services with, they choose a company, that they want to receive the case management services from. And choose the
I can't remember, and I got knocked down.
So let's discuss how recreational therapists
0420. Thank you.
at least through direct therapy that I know, we offer community-based integration services, through individual services, through group services. We do camping trips, holiday world trips, fair trips, zoo trips, so many amazing things that unfortunately the CAP will not allow to happen. Let's talk about individual autonomy. The rule emphasizes that individual autonomy and control over their own lives, including their finances, personal belongings, and security. Indiana's implementation, like other states, is working to implement the HCBS setting rule, including freedom of choice principles. This involves ensuring that HCBS settings meet the requirements of this rule, such as being integrated into their communities, providing opportunities for choice and control, and respecting individual rights. So here are some of the key aspects of providing etiquette to support client choice. First, you must respect client autonomy and self-determination. Acknowledge that clients' rights to make decisions about their own care, life choices, even if those choices differ from your recommendation. Empowering clients to provide necessary information, resources, and support so they're able to make informed choices. Encourage clients to actively participate in their own care by involving them in decision-making processes and fostering a sense of ownership over their own well-being. Two, provide clear and concise information. Explain different options, procedures, potential risks, benefits, and alternatives in a clear, unbiased, and easy to understand manner. You must ensure the client comprehends what they can hold before taking the consent proceeding. You must present information in both written and verbal forms, asking about the client's preference and being flexible and patient with communicating information that they may not really understand. You must actively listen to the client's questions, concerns, and fears, providing reassurance and empathy. Number three, you must tailor our care to individual needs and preferences. That is why recreational therapists and music therapists are required to do annual assessments and write annual treatment plans, update goals. We must foster a collaborative relationship. I don't know about everybody in this room, but I can tell you that the first time you walk into a new client's house, they're not probably going to do anything you ask them to do. Right? I have a 5-year-old who doesn't know what I ask her to do. She's an own child. You know, it takes time to build etiquette. It takes time to build rapport. And that doesn't happen in 45 minutes a week. It's impossible. Number 5, we have to address awareness of client choice. We have actively engaged in training and education initiatives to enhance awareness and knowledge about client rights for both professionals and clients. We must recognize and acknowledge that potential obstacles to client choice are limited options, lack of awareness, or communication barriers. We have to support clients in navigating the healthcare system, accessing relevant resources, because who in this room was told directly by Medicaid that this was happening? I don't see a single agenda. You found out because your rec therapist, or your music therapist, or your behavior therapist, or maybe your case manager told you. But not the people that are making the decisions, and so you're not in on it. 6, professionals and ethics. We must maintain confidentiality, protect client privacy, adhere to relevant laws and regulations like HIPAA. We must clearly define boundaries and professional responsibilities. So that's why as rec therapists and as music therapists and behavior therapists, we can do that because we've been trained in that. But the DSP or the untrained person with no college degree, they don't understand that. They're not protected because they're not therapists. They don't have the training, they don't have the background. I have a certification, right? Somebody can go out my professional certification because that's what you have protection under. Like, you have a certifying body that says, these are your rules, these are what you have to live by, and if you don't, guess what? You're not going to be a certified therapy regulation specialist anymore. That's how our clients are protected, because we hold certifications. We do licensure in some states. But at home health, nothing, right? How are you protected? We must continuously seek to improve communication skills and sampling on client rights and ethical practices. So by diligently applying these principles, providers can establish positive professional relationships with their clients from a client choice, enhancing the quality of life and the services provided. That's all I have, guys. Truly, this breaks my heart. Not only as a service provider, but as somebody with a disability. I suffered 3 traumatic brain injuries and technically qualified for what they used to call TBI waiver. I'm missing one leg. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, I've lived in some of your guys' shoes, it's fine for disabilities. Like, I also have a disability, and I have to suffer through figuring out social skills, community resources, independent skills. Those are all things that I have to bring to. And I hope that every single one of you sitting in this room is not only stepping up and saying no to this, but also telling all of your friends, all of your family, because it's going to take more than just people in this room to have our initial make change. So thank you so much for your time.
There's a trend. You are going. Next speaker. We're supposed to have, we reached out, tried to get Jim Wells here. He's the professional liaison for Indiana agency. Unfortunately, he can't make it. He did text us this morning and said thank you for the offer, but he just couldn't make it. So instead, Mr. Paul, he wants to come up and talk to us about behavior support services and what the impact of these changes are going to do to our clients and their behavior support. So, more.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stay right here. And I'm a little bit worried. But I want to stay. I want to chime in on a couple of things. Sorry, is it better? Yeah, sorry. One that Paige was talking about, which was how many of us knew what was being discussed, what was being proposed, what the plans are with these changes at the time when they were considering debating it, whatever they were doing. Scheming maybe, who knows? No one, right? And that tied in with something that you said, Kendra, to me, which was a lot of times when these folks that are in the know or that have some say and some sway and whatever you want to call it, they don't always know what's going on to even make those decisions. And I can tell you that's a fact. Mr. Ferraro and myself, we were at a panel kind of like this at the government center, and there were people there, high-paid consultants, learned people from the state that make decisions regarding reimbursement rates. And after the whole thing was done, one of the people up on the panel, we saw her in the hallway and she asked us, do you have any questions? And we said, yeah, how much time do you have? And it turned out, as we talked with her, she had no idea that behaviorists have a master's degree. And it is required for us to have a master's degree. She she was one of, 6, 7 people, that were up on the panel. And they apparently did not know that, which is kind of a crucial factor when you consider reimbursement. So, same as what you were mentioning with credentials that you all have direct there. So yeah, if they don't hear from us, they obviously don't want to hear from us before they make those proposed changes. And now they give us a little time to chime in and say some things. So, as you said, Sean, we gotta take this opportunity. This is the time to say something. The other thing, I was thinking about, so as behaviorists, I think the changes they want to make to our program or our services are not quite as drastic. So I'm not here to complain a whole lot, except there is one change. There's probably a couple that are not necessarily super smart. But one is really odd, which is they want to no longer consider psychotropic medication as a restriction. So until now, we've had to, one of the main reasons we have to get Human Rights Committee approval for behavior plans, one of the main reasons is meds. And, you know, when you think about it, if someone has mood swings or someone has, you know, whatever kind of thing is going on, meds are kind of leveling things out. They're kind of restricting the ups and downs to be restricted to this. So anyway, no one fully understands how they consider those not to be restrictions, but it makes sense because none of us was at the table when they talked about it. And that's what they like, how they like. Another thing that I've been thinking of a lot is, you know, if they don't hear from us now, by the way, I'm curious, like how many people in here are recipients of services or family members? If you don't mind, if you don't want to raise your hand, don't do it, but. Obviously, we know there's a whole lot more folks that are not here and they need someone to speak up for them. So if you have a chance to do that, even if you're a provider, we want to make sure that we speak up for our clients that, like everyone here has done, we speak for the client, not for us. But we are advocates, that's part of our role. The thing I was thinking of was, the easier it is to make these changes and cuts this time around, the easier it is for the state to do this time, the sooner they will come back with the next round. And the more motivated they will be. It'll be easier for them. And, oh, that was easy. Let's do it again. Let's do it while they're still complaining about this run. You know? Catch them when they're not paying attention. And I think another thing that went through my mind, as behaviorists and as other providers, therapists, music therapists, residential companies, all kinds of providers, we've always, the majority of us have been in meetings and have come to agreements with the teams, clients, of what's best for the client. And we've been willing to, okay, look, if maybe the music therapist needs a few more hours, I can give some of mine. This is not about me. These, whatever, 12 hours a month or 144 hours a year, they're not my hours. They're the client's hours. And it's good for us to give up some of those hours to someone else who can be more effective or just boost the client's for whatever reason. Then we should do that. And I think, 9 out of 10 that I've worked with have always done that. We're a pretty decent bunch of people. We don't understand what's going on. And I think sometimes that's the idea, they don't want stakeholders at the table. Again, it's one event there were people from a consultation firm. I'm pretty sure they charge a pretty high rate per hour. We looked them up and they have mandates and projects, whatever you want to call it, all across the globe. They're big names, and then that's supposed to impress you, and then you find out they didn't even have all the information. So we need to do more, if anything here, we learn more information, we exchange ideas and are motivated to say something, then, all the better. I think that's, for not.
Thank you, Mark. Q1 library. Go ahead and hit that. Let's start sending these letters right now. I'd like to bring up Robin and Gussie and start talking about what this effect means to them.
I'm Kelsey Royal. So, Kelsey, we're here today because Recreational Therapy has been a life-changing part of Kelsey. It's meant a lot to us. We met here 5 years ago. We don't want to share this. Before we were introduced to Merit, before we added recreational therapy to our menu of services, I guess, Team Kelsey. Kelsey was very introverted. She did not ride a bike or walk much. Very sedentary, as we talked about before, and struggled with everyday things like ordering food when she goes out somewhere, or being able to do anything independently as far as socially. So into Merit, I wrote a few things down that Kelsey does on her own. So she is doing great. She walks around on trail on her own. She shops independently. She orders her own meals as her substitution. Very important. She cooks all of her own meals and even tries and recipes. She's confident. She does test new experiences. She also works independently for low 3 days a week, and we go to our day program. So that was a big step in the right direction. It sucks that her time would be cut now, basically, because consistency is very important for Kelsey. She has plateaued in the past, and she has also regressed in the past. And we definitely want to see Kelsey's full potential. We don't even think we're there yet.
Thank you for that. So one of the points they brought up that I want to bring to your attention before we turn it over to the dominant part of the show is we're looking at 60 to 65% overall reduction in services that are being provided in time. Okay, that's significant. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Overall, we're looking at 60 to 65% reduction. That's right, most good. Good stuff, good thing. So somewhere around 60 to 65% is what you're giving up as far as your time and your activities. Don't let that happen. You have the ability to choose, don't you? You have the ability to choose, right? Take that chance, right? Stop it. Don't let them do it. All right, on to the dominant part. Jake?
Raise your hand. If
Question
you
and answer.
have a question or want to say something, and Ethan and I will come around.
Hi. Hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Karen Padilla, and this is my son Anthony. I'm here because I think I have a pretty unique perspective. Not only am I a recreation therapist by degree, I'm a parent that does rec therapy services. I'm probably older than every single rec therapist in here. I graduated from Indiana University in 1981. And practically, none of us were CTRSs. I was actually in the first round of testing, and was one of the first rec therapists in the country to get my CTRS. I worked basically, that was 44 years ago. I've worked in outdoor recreation, camping, pediatrics, oncology, neuro rehab, wellness and health promotion, assistive technology, and I was the education and training director for Indiana Protection and Advocacy Services Commission. As well as a recreation therapist and a mother of Anthony, I think I bring a pretty holistic view of what's happening and what may not be happening. Anthony is my son. He's 35. He currently does not work. Vocational rehabilitation has failed him many times. Majority of his time is spent at home in his room on his iPad or watching videos. The system has continually failed him. He should have been on the DD waiver. You guys even know what the DD waiver was? He should have been on the DD waiver, but 3 times was lost in the system. The last time he waited for 12 years on the waiting list. I was hearing other people getting on the waiver after 6 years, but my son was still waiting again after 12 years. When I was starting to advocate again to get him back on the waiver, or get him on a waiver, that's when everything changed. That's when the family support waiver occurred, that's when the CIH waiver occurred, and he no longer qualified for the DD waiver. Because I'm not 80 yet, and because I don't abuse my son, and because I'm not dead, he's not eligible for the CIH waiver. So he is on the family support waiver, and he has chosen rec therapy to meet his needs based on supposedly person-centered planning. He doesn't get any other services. He did have behavioral therapy for a while, but at this time, he uses his family support waiver totally for recreational therapy. So at this time, he gets recreational therapy twice a week for a total of 6 hours a week, so 3 hours at a time, twice a week. The highlight of this week is participating in rec therapy. Over the years, well, let me back up. 5 years ago, we lost my husband, and we ended up moving from Avon to Westfield. So we had to start all over again on service providers, and on a wait list for forever, and then we finally get rec therapy. Then his first rec therapist moved to Colorado, and I think she's back in Indiana, but I'm not quite sure about that. The second rec therapist was also wonderful. She ended up moving back to Tennessee. His third rec therapist, and this is just in the last 4 years, she took a job with bees. Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud. But anyway, she was wonderful. And then, of course, we had to get on, wait for availability of another rec therapist. And Deanne, I know you're here. Where are you? Deanne is a very newest rec therapist. She's wonderful. But my point is, we continue to jump through hoops as families that need services. And I'm just appalled to hear about a 6-hour cap. That's just asinine. When we look back at our lives, it's the experiences we've had, the leisure activities we participate in, our families and our friends that we think fondly of, not how much we spend in OT, PT, speech therapy. I don't need to pick on those, they're wonderful. I worked with them for years. But it's how we live our lives that counts. As individuals with disabilities age out of school, there's a huge void in their lives. They may no longer have a circle of friends around them or have planned activities to go to. This can lead to isolation, depression, low self-esteem, stress, anxiety, a lack of confidence. There are many things that rec therapists can assist with. My understanding of the waiver system is that individuals are to receive services in a person-centered approach. As we've heard already today, 6 hours is unacceptable. How many of us only spend 6 hours a month recreating? I mean, as a rec therapist, I don't just spend 6 hours. You know, I hopefully am therapeutically recreating myself. Anthony has had, over the years, he's had a hard time initiating activities. He used to have trouble with transition to different activities. Because of his time in rec therapy and because he has a family that believes so much in the ability to participate in recreation, Anthony has been able to do some of the following: sail on Lake Michigan, archery, camp, bowl, rowing on Eagle Creek. A year ago, this last January, his youngest brother, his only brother, actually pushed him in the Disney Marathon. scuba dive, canoe, whitewater raft. Actually, 2 weeks ago, my youngest son got married in Colorado, and Anthony, with the rest of our family, the whitewater rafting down the Arkansas River. He's gotten to travel, recreation activities, many recreational activities that add to the quality of his life. I believe recreation therapy has helped Anthony in reducing stress and anxiety. It's built his self-esteem, provides a sense of joy. It's enhanced or improved his physical, psychological, and emotional well-being. I've seen improvement of his self-image and confidence. Rec therapy can provide mental health assistance by reducing individual feelings of depression and anxiety. It promotes a sense of community and belonging. The activities encourage participation and interaction, which are crucial for his social support and personal growth. Therapeutic recreation is very important because it enriches an individual's life in the areas of physical, cognitive, emotional, social health, happiness, satisfaction, balance, growth, creativeness, socialization, and the development of one's talents. Again, a cap of 6 hours of therapeutic recreation is totally unacceptable. Individuals should have that right to choose what services that meet their needs. Thanks.
My comment was, I have a friend who participated or has participated in the Dean's Advisory Committee, and I guess this changes just came out of, they didn't ask for any advice. So there's been no input from the advisory committee or parents. So I guess my point is, we really, our input is so very, very important. And my question is, I mean, this is going to happen all over the country. The cuts to Medicaid. This is a failed attempt, in my opinion, to say no, we didn't cut Medicaid, but they actually did cut by doing this because we can't. There's not enough. Well, certainly, DSP is not qualified to do what therapists, music therapists, and behavior therapists can do. And DSP, yes, is more affordable hourly, but there's very short in supply. So this is just gonna end up, they're thinking that people are gonna be sending dollars back. So other states, I think, have gotten dealing with this as well. And what are other states doing with these Medicaid cuts?
For those comments. Are we on now?
Yes.
Thank you for those comments. What are other states doing with their Medicaid? Well, Medicaid is being cut to all 50 states at different percentages. We've been blessed here in Indiana that our government, starting in the late 90s, really took a big initiative to make these home and community-based services one of the leaders, like our state being one of the leaders in home and community-based services. A few states that might rival ours in this leadership include states like Texas, New Hampshire, Virginia also has a small program. And I want to draw attention to, since our state has started this program, it's brought Hoosiers, more people to become Hoosiers. It has provided this robust industry that is tradable. These providers pay back into our tax systems to help fund these Medicaid waivers. We help people seek employment that then help fund these Medicaid waivers. So we've really created an awesome economy that helps people with disabilities and really helps our state build revenue. So we need to focus on the gratitude that we have for that we do have these services here in Indiana. But at the same time, point out that we need to keep getting better. We can't regress. Let's keep leading the nation in what we do here.
My name is Stephen. I am a co-owner of this therapy practice based in Anderson. We have about 15 full-time therapists. We see 1,200 people a week. And I actually nurse my training as a therapist. I want to put this thing back just a second on, think back to our hierarchy of these professions in the room, looking at basal needs. A ton of our clients we see during the day for more than 6 hours a month are ones who cannot, will not, cannot do ADLs on their own until we show up. These are folks who are life as hard as it is. When you have stability on top of that, it helps you navigate the challenges of puberty, going to high school, the parents. All these changes, these transitions in life are things these therapists help with that we're not. In a lot of ways, these legislators are not focusing on. They're looking at, oh, they're going to a football game. That's fun. Or someone take me to a football game. Not the point. We'd be looking at goals, really highlighting the fact of what the goal is, what the therapeutic process is, and why it's important, not just what we're doing, but the why. So we've been really focusing on our practice, setting videos, testimonials, et cetera, showing from that side. But I do think it's important to focus on not just the what we're doing, but the why we're doing it.
We've been warned by the library that we need to wrap it up soon. They're very strict on the closing time. So we're going to have one more.
We have been in rec therapy since for about 5 years. Denise graduated from high school, was very active in this high school. But Denise physically looks fine, but he is very speech related, cognitively, does not talk. Well, we're going to give a praise to Deanne too, because Deanne was doing rec therapy in Fort Wayne just 2 weeks. He's run multiple 5K with her, and he and our family have noticed him talking to the community more. More social, saying jokes, and things like that. So I have more people at the Fort Wayne that I'm sending out to the office because we know Deanne has seen it more than anyone. But we too have seen big changes. He also works 4 mornings a week and at Goodwill in Fort Wayne, and he was so depressed he did not get to have our team. We only have one. There's no siblings. There's nothing to do. I not imagine him sitting at home every day, not having a reason to get out of bed, not having the joy of doing fun things. He's very more right? Right? Yeah. So we're on board and we're going to do our best as well.
Last QR code of the night. This leads to a three-question questionnaire. Go ahead and hit that. It asks you what services do you use, how much do you use, and what do you want to tell the state about the usage of your service. We are collecting that as providers to provide that information to the state of Indiana to influence change. I want you to lead tonight, Jake, real quick with the microphone. Run it to Kevin. Yeah, I see you, right? Our local celebrity traveled all the way up here. She's been on the news a few times. She wants to say a word to send everybody off.
I encourage you to keep knocking down the door because I'm not using them without a fight. And neither should you guys. Woo!
I appreciate everybody's participation this evening. Thank you for all the perspective. If you have questions, reach out. All of the professionals in the room will take the opportunity to answer any questions if you have to leave. But again, advocacy, voice, choice. Thanks, guys.